Anthony Hartwig here with a United Softball Coaches Corner with Sam Mathias. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So we're here to talk about United Softball, of course, and right now the 2020 season kind of up in the air. Talk about what are some of the expectations you had coming into the season of this program.
Well, we had high expectations this year. We only lost two girls from last season with Alyssa Inman and Paige Eichler. We had a lot of youth coming back, and our freshman group coming in was very talented. We had a nice, solid pitcher coming in this year, and we had a sophomore that had gotten some pitching lessons and was doing very well pitching there too. So it was going to help out the whole pitching process, plus the experience of the youth last year and what they got. We really had high expectations of what we were capable of doing this year.
I'm sure you've been in close contact with your team. What's kind of the mentality like around United Softball right now?
Well, the first few weeks there, we kind of let them get accustomed to in line with their schoolwork. That was an adjustment to getting everything handled there, what online stuff they had to do with their teachers and so forth. And then I just kind of started chatting with them, making sure if you can get some throwing in, keep doing some exercises, giving them some ideas for that. Make sure you're working on your hitting techniques. The couple 2-3 weeks there, we really focused hard on our hitting, breaking down certain things, and each girl knew what drill work they needed to be doing. So even if they didn't have a tee, they could still do that drill work, just the muscle memory type stuff. So hopefully they're doing their part at home there, and we'll see if the season gets started, if it helps out.
Yeah, if the season does get started, if we are lucky enough to get that, how confident are you that your team would be ready to go come May 4th?
I'd be pretty confident in them. I've been keeping close tabs on the pitchers, making sure that they're throwing either with somebody from the house, mom, dad, maybe if they have an older brother or sister, something like that. So as long as they've been doing their part, I think we're not going to be any further behind than any other teams that haven't had a lot of contact. I'm sure some girls are getting in more reps depending on what they have available to them. But I think once we get that 5 to 7 days there of getting ready to go, just get some soreness out from throwing and so forth, we should be good to go. We had a good game plan ready to go. The first when we ended up there, we were getting actually ready for a scrimmage that week to see where we were at. So we kind of had some ideas where we wanted some kids, and we should be able just to get started and see how it goes.
Talk about the seniors you have on your team and kind of highlight what they bring to the program.
We only have two seniors this year, Caitlin Phillips and Sierra Buckus. Caitlin she was going to be ready here in May. She was coming off of ACL surgery, coming out of soccer. This is actually, I think, her second for sure, maybe her third ACL surgery. But she wanted to come back for softball. She really enjoyed softball. She was our second baseman. She played really well for us last year, very consistent in what she was doing. Hardworking kid. She never complains. I mean, it's 110% effort from her. She brings great leadership to us. Sierra is returning in the outfield for us. She is kind of that silent kid that doesn't speak a lot, but her work ethic gives the younger kids something to look at. And she's kind of a kid that drives the coach nuts sometimes because she's so nonchalant about doing things, but she'll get to a ball that you think, man, that's in the gap. She's not getting there. And it just looks like she's strolling over and she grabs it and throws it in. So two good senior leaders that we were going to have this year.
In this uncertain time where you guys aren't physically together, do you see that senior leadership shine in those two, keeping this team united? No pun intended.
I think those two, plus we have some underclassmen that are more vocal leaders, and I think they can get to the other girls. I do. Some of the girls were running together, keeping their social distancing of 6 foot apart, but they're getting together to do conditioning and so forth like that. So it's kind of a good mixture all the way down through. Even our freshmen have good leadership qualities that they could bring in. So it's a very well-rounded team with leadership qualities.
Now you've been a United guy for a while. You coached their girls basketball team back in the string of years where they were really good back in 2012, 2013, 2014, that kind of stretch. What's it mean to you to coach United and to represent that school system?
Well, I graduated from United, so it's kind of nice to go home there and give something back to the United sports programs there. Just give back in general. I teach down there too, so it's kind of nice just being around there. We live in United District. My daughter is in preschool in United, so it's what I've grown up knowing and so forth. And it's very nice. The girls down there in basketball and in softball have been so dedicated and hardworking kids, and it just makes coaching them a lot easier.
Yeah, we've been spending a lot of time kind of reminiscing on teams of the past, and that was a great United program. I think they won 5 league championships in a row.
Mhm.
Girls, kind of reminisce on that and what it was like coaching that program.
It was great. I was there for the last 2. Roger Ziegler was there for the first
Mhm.
3. So I was there for the last 2, and we actually won 2 district titles also those years. Our biggest highlight, I think, of our first year was beating Youngstown Ursuline in the district title game. They had a post player that was already committed to the Miami of Ohio. They had 2 guards that were just lightning quick. And it was kind of funny. I just got pulled out the tape the other day because I was bored, and it's like, oh, I'll watch this. This was kind of nice to watch. And being down in the fourth quarter, and I still remember talking to my assistant saying, we're okay, just hang in there, just hang in there. And the timeouts that we had, looking back on it now, were just at the right times for us. Those kids were just phenomenal, hardworking kids, and to pull that upset was just it's one of the best memories I have down there. Making it to regionals that first year, it was just kind of icing on the cake for us, and that was our goal the second year to make it back there. And it was a great 2-year run there with that group of girls right there.
Yeah, it's definitely great when we can look back on those memories and this time without sports. But you're also still coaching basketball at Sebring. What's it like kind of transitioning between basketball and softball from a coaching perspective?
Being at 2 different schools, I think it's a little bit easier because you're getting to be with some different kids, which is kind of nice. It's kind of nice to get the transition over there to have different girls to work with. The Sebring girls, they worked extremely hard. And I tell a lot of people, I'm like, we may not be the biggest, we may not be the most athletic, but I never have a doubt that they're going to give me 110% of their effort at all times up there, which is great. You don't have the numbers up at Sebring that what you do at United or some of the other schools because they're a small school. But it's nice to transition over to get a different group of girls to work with them, different ability levels and so forth like that. So it was a pretty smooth transition from basketball into softball with a bunch of the softball girls. They were involved in a few sports, but a majority of them, they were able to get to some open gyms and start some stuff. So it was nice. It was hard juggling all the scheduling, but I mean, it worked out.
Does it take you any time to kind of switch from a basketball mentality to a softball one?
No, you don't really have a lot of time to switch gears. I mean, if you're doing some open gyms for softball, you're technically still at the end of basketball season there. So the 25-minute drive from Sebring to United or vice versa was when I was switching gears on what we needed to do in practices or open gyms at that point and kind of getting my mind right to help the girls that I was going to.
Now, obviously, to do that, you have to love coaching. So, what is it about coaching that you love so much?
Um, Helping out these young girls to become adults and put them in adult situations so they can strive when they get out of sports. I mean, there's so much you can learn from sports, not just the winning part of it, but you learn more from the losing part of it. How do you handle that? How do you handle the adversity? I tell them all the time, I said, you guys are going to go off to college and mom and dad aren't there to babysit you anymore. Those professors are getting paid whether you get up for class that day or not. They don't care if you're failing or not. They're there to help you, but if you don't put your best foot forward, they're just going to move on. And it's just some life lessons like that. And my softball team, when we were in practice this year, I really stressed to them that I wanted perfection out of them. And well, last year we only won 3 total games. We were limited on our pitching. We were very young with our pitching. We had some disciplinary issues in the middle of the season, which threw some freshman kids right into the mix that I wouldn't have called them ready as early as I had to use them. I knew they were going to get used last year, but they were used earlier than what I anticipated doing it. So to be thrown into the varsity fire as a freshman kid, you have to be like well prepared for that. So we took our lumps, our growing pains and so forth like that. We were anticipating being at towards the top of the league. We knew that Lisbon and Columbiana were going to return just powerhouse of teams coming back from what they had last year. Some youth that was really good for them. Their pitching was coming back. So that's what we were kind of gearing toward. We had to be able to play fundamentally sound softball, and hopefully things went our way, especially when we played those two teams.
If we don't have a season this year, we have to wait until 2021. How mentally tough do you think this experience is going to make your players?
I think it'll make them hungry. A lot of kids, when they come off of an injury or something, they're hungry because they know that's time that they can't get back, and they start to realize that this could happen at any time. I think these kids are going to be hungry because some of them lost a year. So now my 5 juniors that I have on the roster right now, next year is their last year. So they got a bunch to prove. They've been a staple of the program since they came in as freshmen. I think 3 or 4 of them either started or played a ton as freshmen when they came in. So losing a year, I think it'll make everybody hungry because, I mean, you never know when your last time could be, whether it's injury, whether it's a pandemic or something like that.
Yeah, and we'll have some fun with you before we let you go. Quarantine has kept us all indoors for the last couple of weeks. What's been your favorite quarantine activity last couple of weeks?
Well, I live on a farm, and we have 11 horses here. So we're starting to get them kind of in shape for our summer program with what we do with them. It's kind of nice to get out, get some fresh air, get down there with them, work on that, and probably playing with my 5-year-old daughter because when I'm coaching, once I get done with work, I go catch a bus or I go to practice, and if we're on a trip somewhere, it's usually 7, 8 o'clock when I'm getting home, so I don't really get to see her a lot. So it's great to be home with her and my wife and playing every board Disney game imaginable and watching Disney Junior every day.
That's great, Coach. It's great to hear. You know, family is so important during these times, and I'm glad to hear
Absolutely.
that you're getting some time with yours. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you back on a field pretty soon.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
All right.